A few hours later, I sat, working my case in bed with Tony poring over his notes in a nearby chair. Drew stormed through the doors. I knew I was right, and I have proof. He waved his quan pad in the air. Okay, first of all, Dr. Morgan, I do not know what you think you are right about, but it is polite to knock before you burst into someone's bedroom. I could be, I don't know, undressed or something. Nothing I haven't seen before, he remarked, raking his eyes over me. I have the results of Ethan and Samantha's DNA. She is definitely Ethan's daughter. I looked back at the notes on the quan pad Tatiana gave me. I knew that the moment I saw her. She has Ethan's eyes and nose. Drew prompted, pressing his shoulder to the wall near the entrance. Does she look like anyone else you know? I shook my head. Why would she? I've never met Samantha's mother, Scarlett. Wow. You are going hardcore on these lies of yours, aren't you? I tossed the quan pad on the bed and put my hands together in front of my face. I took a deep breath, then asked, what are you accusing me of lying about now? I am accusing you of the same lie you have been denying all this time. Scarlett cannot possibly be Samantha's mother, Drew related, holding my gaze as if he dared me to fess up and tell the truth. She contracted a disease when she was a kid that rendered her unable to have children. I'm sorry to hear that, I returned, folding my arms across my chest the best I could with a sling on my wounded arm. I do not see what that has to do with me since I never laid eyes on that child until today. He wrinkled his nose and gave me a sidelong glance. I find that hard to believe since I compared her DNA to the intergalactic databases and came up with a match. You are Samantha's biological mother. How far are you going to go to prove you are right? I cannot believe you went as far as to make up stories about Samantha's parentage just to try to prove your point. I am not. Samantha is absolutely your daughter. I suspected from the moment I laid eyes on her. It cannot be. I have never been intimate with Ethan, and the only other time I was pregnant before the twins was with. I let my voice trail off. I cannot believe you are going to. I slammed my hand on the bed and yelled, I cannot believe I almost married you. This is what our life together would have been like? You accusing me of things I did not do. I did not cheat on you, and I did not sleep with Ethan, ever. Then how did Samantha turn out to be your daughter? I shrugged my shoulders, then remembered what Tatiana said, Samantha's medical records are on there. You need to read them. I'm going to stay aboard for 3 more days. Read them and then get back to me with your questions. And you will have questions. I picked up the quan pad and called up Samantha's medical records. I combed through them, and then hit the quan pad. I looked up and questioned, how, Ethan? How is this possible? Then I glanced up at the ceiling and charged the computer system. Chip, get me Tatiana Valentine on the line. That was quick, Tatiana responded. How is it possible that I am Samantha's biological mother? He kept my child from me for 15 years, I blared, then took deep breaths to calm myself. Tatiana answered, remember when you had your eggs stored when you were 20? Just in case you ever decided to have kids? Yes, but, I responded, wrinkling my brows. What did you do, Ethan? Scarlett desperately wanted to have a child, and Ethan wanted to make her happy, Tatiana confessed, then cleared her voice. He broke into the bank and took your eggs and had them implanted in Scarlett. Tony rose his head and met my gaze. He stole your eggs and had them implanted into another woman? Then they both die, and you end up with the child? At what point were they planning on telling you the truth? Or were they? They were going to tell her she was Samantha's biological mother as soon as the danger cleared, Tatiana insisted, but the danger never cleared. Let me sit with this for a while, I advised her before ending the communication. I waited until Drew's eyes met mine before I declared, listen to me, and listen to me carefully, you drop this right now, the accusing me of cheating on you 15 years ago. You drop your vendetta to prove I have been lying, which I haven't. If you don't, I am transferring you off of the LVN. Anyone else who has done what you have would have been transferred already. I am totally done. He grunted before he swung around and headed out the doors. Tony's calm let chimed, followed by a woman's voice saying, please hold for the president. A few seconds later, President Madeline Maddie Ashton's melodic voice came on the line requiring, son, how are you doing? I wanted to check in on you. I am doing fine. Alex and I have been handed a big case that looks like it might be bigger than we originally thought, Tony replied, exchanging an amused look with me. I met a great girl that I have been seeing, Alex's sister Abby. She is a psychiatrist and a former alcoholic, and I haven't drank since I got here, but Jessa checks in with me every day. I am sure she has filled you in, so why are you calling? Tony, I exclaimed, staring at him. She is your mother. Hello, Alex, the president greeted. It is nice to hear your voice again. He is quite right. I did get all the information from Jessa, but I just wanted to hear it from him. You can tell a lot about a person from hearing their voice. Since I have you on the line, Alex, have you talked to that doctor you thought would be a perfect fit for the project? Nothing short of you yourself, Madam President, is going to convince Dr. Morgan to join this project, I contended, leaning forward. He is convinced I made up the project to hide the affair he believes I had during our time together. Call me Maddie. When a man thinks he has been wronged, she decided, a man will go out of his way to prove he is right. Did you give him the information on the project? He refuses to read it, I answered, moving back against the headboard. He is usually such a level-headed man. Now that Zerai Hilton has retired, I believe Dr. Morgan is the best person to take over the project. I have read through his file, talked to commanders and crew members who have served with him, and you are not the only one to mention him for this position. I want him to head the project, and I usually get what I want. I can attest to that, Tony confirmed, rolling his eyes. I hit him with a sad smile. I'm sure you do, Maddie, but this is not going to be one of them. How long did you date him? Maddie wondered. I get the sense neither of you are over each other. I dated him for 10 years. We were engaged for 3, I advised her. We went through some pretty hard storms. We weathered them all but this one. I will always care about him, but I cannot let him ruin what I have built. That's why you and Jessa are such good friends, remarked Maddie. You two both have that fierce determination. Let me see what I can do. I will keep you updated. At least she didn't sell you to the highest bidder to further her company like my parents did, I ventured, catching Tony's eye, after the communique ended. I know what it is like to have high-profile, rich parents, to feel like you are in a fishbowl. My sister got the good parents. They treat her like she can do no wrong like your mom does Jessa. Me, not so much. I wanted to do what felt right to me, and they couldn't handle it. Abby says you haven't spoken to your parents since the annulment to say. No, I spoke with my mother a few days ago to tell her about Ethan. We got into a big fight as usual about how I am wasting my life. I stared at the entrance and admitted, she's never even met her grandchildren. I put my hand over my mouth and then removed it to add, I have a daughter with Ethan. She would have loved that, but I cannot even tell her. I heard my Quan pad chime. I picked it up and looked at it. I gave it a brief smile, then returned my eyes to Tony. My gang is coming here. They have information for us about what trouble Ethan was in. Tony raised his eyebrows and repeated, gang? I almost detected a hint of amusement playing on his lips. They are friends I met at the academy. Whenever they hear things, I advised him, running my good hand through my hair, they pass those things on to me. I laid my head on the headboard and cautioned, you probably know or have seen some of them in your mother's political circles. We all come from very rich families. We formed a group to cope with the pressures of our parents. I wish I had that when my mother went into politics. One day we were normal, everyday people, then we were smiling for photo ops and answering the media's questions. I lifted my head to meet Tony's gaze. Where did you meet Tracy? I met her in high school, but we didn't hang out in the same circles. She was friends with Jessa because Tracy used to date her brother, Robert. They were pretty serious. I noticed how Tony wrinkled his brow as if he remembered a bad memory, or something he regretted. He searched my eyes and continued, it wasn't until I started frequenting a DC coffee shop she worked undercover that I really started to get to know her. Within a few months, we were planning our wedding. I am an art collector. I own a few of her pieces. I didn't realize Tracy Ashton the artist, I ventured, gesturing to the paintings on the walls, was Tracy Ashton your wife until I talked to my associates to find out if she was involved in the project. I hear you are quite the artist yourself. I shook my head. I just draw and paint when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I bet if your arm wasn't in a sling, you'd be doing a lot of drawing and painting right now. He glanced down, then up at me. I know I would rather be drinking. I won't, but I have been doing it so long that it feels like home. It feels like a security blanket. When I remained silent for a moment, I saw a glimpse of the man Tony must have been with Tracy. The vulnerable, decent guy. What did you find out? Was Tracy involved? According to my source, she'd been involved for 10 years. He leaned forward and flashed me a brilliant smile that showed just enough teeth. Thank you. It's nice to know for sure that my wife was not cheating on me. He raised an eyebrow. My code name is Badger. What is yours? Condor, I admitted, giving him a sidelong look. I want you to recover. I want this to work out, but there is a reason they sent you to me. I will make you work for your recovery, and for a place as my partner. Yeah, I know. Then we discussed the information we discovered from our contacts.